From CBS News Bay Area, this is the Morning Edition.
Good morning and thanks for joining us today. Today is Saturday, April 12th. I'm Max Darrow. Let's take a look at what is happening today across the Bay. In-person voting, if we can get that teleprompter where it needs to be, in-person voting continues today in the city of Oakland as voters will look to cast their ballots after voters successfully recalled Sheng Tao in the special election in Oakland. People can cast their ballots at the Alameda County Registrar of Voters office or at other vote centers across the city. Those locations are open today and tomorrow from 9 in the morning until 5 p.m. and then again from 8:30 to 5 on Monday as well. If we can scroll that prompter, that would be great. Election Day is this Tuesday. Meantime, San Francisco's newest park officially opens today. Sunset Dunes will transform the 2 miles of the Great Highway between Lincoln Way and Sloat Boulevard that closed to traffic about a month ago into a space for public art, recreation, live events, and much more. As you can see, no cars have been allowed and no cars will be allowed on this stretch of the Great Highway. It's because San Francisco voters approved the idea back in the November election. But the park doesn't come without controversy. Supervisor Connie Chan wrote an op-ed in the Richmond Review saying in the event of a citywide election this year, she will be exploring a ballot measure to reopen the stretch of the Great Highway. But this morning, the city will be hosting the opening celebration for the park. That begins at 11:30 in the morning. Staying in the city today, people concerned about LGBTQ rights will rally at the foot of Market Street in San Francisco. Organizers of this rally are holding what they call a new Pride March to stand up for human rights. They hope to send a message that as some institutions abandon values of inclusion, their community is determined to assert itself. The march begins at noon at Justin Herman Plaza. That's at Stewart and Market Streets. Already a lot is happening all across the Bay Area this weekend. First Alert meteorologist Zoe Mintz joins us live this Saturday morning.
Yes.
Zoe, a little bit of fog to contend with today.
Yeah, a little bit of fog. Hopefully we can open up these windows behind us and show you the beautiful view of the Bay Bridge because not nearly as much fog as what we saw the past couple of mornings when basically the entirety of the Golden Gate Bridge was covered in that fog. There was some slowed traffic, and that's not the issue this morning for most of us. And that's good news. High pressure is going to continue to dominate as we are going to continue to see a lot more of these quiet conditions. I'm going to pull up our hemisphere, show you what we look like right now from space because it's very cool that we can actually see where the area of high pressure is building in underneath all of this cloud coverage that did impact us. You can definitely see a little bit of that marine layer is still holding on tight, but not nearly as much fog this morning than compared to what we saw yesterday and what we saw on Thursday morning as well. And if you do see a little bit of fog this morning, it's not going to last much longer than our early morning hours. And the only places that are seeing it are over our South Bay communities and over the Santa Clara Valley. There is a little bit of haze to kick off our day, and it's keeping our temperatures actually a few degrees warmer down into our South Bay communities where they're sitting in the upper 40s to maybe low 50s. North Bay communities are in the mid to lower 40s, and compared to just 24 hours ago, everybody is feeling a bit of that chill because even if you are seeing fog, it's not nearly as thick as what you were seeing yesterday, and these cooler temperatures to kick off our day is a sign of some slightly cooler temperatures to arrive this afternoon, but it's still going to be above average and 80s will return by tomorrow. I'll break down all the details that you need to know coming up in just a bit. Back to you, Max.
Thank you, Zoe. The final weekend of campaigning is upon us in Oakland's special election. Voters have an opportunity to pick the city's next mayor on Tuesday. And early voting already is underway. The front runners are there on your screen. Former Congresswoman Barbara Lee and former City Councilman Lauren Taylor. Barbara Lee was able to cast her ballot early at church on Fontaine Street. Wearing her I voted sticker, she encouraged everyone to vote. Our Suji Nam got to speak with Lee and her opponent as they make their final push.
Days ahead of the special election, former Congresswoman Barbara Lee and former Oakland City Council member Lauren Taylor are making their final pitch to voters and members of the Interfaith Council of Alameda County.
Top priorities, of course, public safety, housing, affordability, our unsheltered population, good governance, and economic development and jobs.
Now is our moment to reclaim our city, to respond with the urgency that is needed to turn things around so we stop losing residents our businesses, revenues.
In a race that at times has been reduced to attack ads, many groups like the Oakland branch of the NAACP hope the focus will remain on the issues facing the city.
The mudslinging, the accusations, the hearsay is all a distraction. Ranked choice voting is already complicated. And so we want to make the process as simple as possible. We want to move away from the negativity.
Dr. Dee Morris of the NAACP says both candidates are lifelong members. Therefore, they decided to not make an official endorsement. But the group remains optimistic.
We are hopeful that the future will be bright, but there is work to do.
That work includes accounting for a nearly $130 million budget shortfall.
We can have good paying jobs in the new green economy. And I would want West Oakland residents and our businesses to help me with the Port of Oakland.
Along with improving public safety and a decades-long crisis in Oakland. Homelessness.
And make sure that we make measurable progress that is sustained as opposed to re-encountering the same problems and challenges year after year after year.
Both candidates working to sway voters, addressing alleged shortcomings head on. Taylor is squashing what he says are rumors about outsider contributions to his campaign.
All of our contributions are publicly available. Almost 80% of our funding is coming from individuals right here in Oakland. These lies about corporations and outsiders, it's not true.
And Lee addressing critics that say she is an establishment candidate.
Those who say that I'm part of the establishment, they don't understand what cooperation, building coalitions, they don't understand what you need to do to bring people together to solve problems and how to build consensus.
As the city prepares to choose its next leader, both candidates hope that they can be the catalyst for change in Oakland.
Whoever wins, they will replace former Mayor Sheng Tao. Voters recalled Tao late last year. Since then, interim Mayor Kevin Jenkins has cleaned house, firing most of Tao's staffers. Jenkins says that will allow the next mayor to choose their own staff. To the South Bay now, we are still waiting this morning for official results from this week's special election in San Jose. Voters were deciding on who will take over the District 3 City Council seat. The county registrar's office says it is still trying to sort out 36 unprocessed ballots. And they're going to need to do that to figure out who finishes second, because right now, Matthew Quevedo and Anthony Tordillos are separated by one singular vote. The second-place finisher will head to a runoff in June against Gabby Chavez-Lopez. Now, the registrar's office says it has sent messages to the people whose ballots had issues, so now it's really just a waiting game to hear back from them. And then they can start counting those final votes. Listen.
And that really shows how important one vote counts, because I know a lot of people may be thinking like, oh, it's okay, like my vote won't matter, but especially in this local race, that 19% of people decided for the rest of the rest of the percentage.
Former council member Omar Torres resigned from the District 3 seat in November. He pleaded no contest for criminal charges related to a child sex abuse case. He's due back in court next month. In San Francisco, a big move that could change the flow of downtown traffic. Mayor Daniel Lurie says driverless Waymo cars will soon hit Market Street, a stretch that's been closed to most vehicles since 2020. Supporters of this say it's a step towards revitalizing the financial district, bringing workers back, and boosting local businesses in the area. But not everybody is on board. Bike advocates, transit riders, and pedestrian groups say they're concerned this will make Market Street less safe. They point to a 40% drop in injury crashes since cars were removed from the street, most cars at least. They also worry that driverless vehicles could block buses and delay emergency responses. But despite these concerns, the city starts to plan mapping in the coming days, with passenger rides expected to roll out by the summer. To Sonoma County now, testing for the Smart Train commuter rail system does continue this weekend, which means closures. Sonoma Marin Area Rail District will close the Sonoma Airport Station once again to test systems ahead of the new Smart Windsor Station. The new station is expected to increase foot traffic and boost local businesses. Healdsburg and Cloverdale are next on the line, but people who live in the area think it could be years before the train reaches them. Coming up, it's the end of Restaurant Week in San Francisco. When we come back, we'll introduce you to the folks behind a unique family-run Italian spot. We're finding success in the city. Plus, later this hour, Caltrain is reporting a surge in ridership now that all of its trains are fully electric. We'll dive into the numbers, the reasons, and more in a live conversation with a Caltrain spokesperson. Welcome back. As we begin the final weekend of Restaurant Week here in San Francisco, this morning we take you to one of the city's newest Italian markets and restaurants that's making a name for itself in the city's food scene. Andrea Nakano takes us to Bettola and shows us why it is winning over so many regulars.
Reservation? Walk-in, yeah, we have that counter available. I have that one reserved.
In May of last year, this Italian restaurant/market opened up on Clement, a street that's already lined with a lot of restaurants. In the short amount of time, it's won over many regulars, even if customers commonly mispronounce its name.
People say Bettola, but we're trying to get the word out there that it's Bettola with an accent on the E. This place is a maze sometimes.
Carolina Zed says this is a small family-owned business that specializes in serving up Italian cuisine, food that is made fresh every day.
We have homemade gnocchi. We make the gnocchi every day. It's potato and flour. It's a long process, and we also make our ragu every day, our pesto dailies.
This year, more than 200 businesses took part in Spring SF Restaurant Week. Golden Gate Restaurant Association, though, says unlike past years, it had a high number of first-timers to join the event. Bettola is one of 37 new restaurants.
You can see it helps, yeah. It helps small businesses, and it helps us actually meet and interact other small businesses, because when I'm not working, I'm going to other restaurants on Clement doing Restaurant Week. So it's really nice to see the community being brought together in SF like this.
Customers like Ashley Brewer say this is not just their Restaurant Week spot, but a go-to place for authentic Italian food.
They have a really good gnocchi, and that's kind of what we come for.
With the uncertainty of tariffs and the status of the economy overall, Bettola says it's definitely had its ups and downs, but they are thankful to already have a strong group of regulars.
I think any little neighborhood spot feels special. I think it's easy to get into, which is nice in San Francisco, and to have a good meal alongside that is always nice.
Bettola also hopes to attract newcomers with their dishes, recipes that have been part of their family for generations.
It's just fun to have prefixes and be able to show people what we love about our restaurant, and them having the trust in the prefix and leaving happy and full is really what we're here for.
Nothing like looking at all that delicious food at 6:17 on a Saturday morning, Jose.
It gets me hungry. We've been awake for like a couple hours now, so it's like, is it breakfast? Is it lunch? What do I want to eat this morning? I don't know. I just want to get outside and soak up some sunshine.
I know. Maybe some of those restaurant deals, though, have perfect outdoor seating.
Perfect.
That's a good night for it.
And they have some lunch deals, too, if you want to maybe get out and enjoy some early afternoon cocktails outside.
That sounds delectable.
That sounds like a fantastic idea.
I could use one.
This shot outside is specifically requested by Max. I have to show everybody what we like to call the jewel box. It is a beautiful view of a little bit of haze that's currently sitting over San Francisco, but you notice it is not nearly as hazy or as foggy as what we've seen the past couple of mornings waking up. Temperatures right now are actually a couple of degrees cooler than yesterday. Yesterday we were in the mid-50s across most of the Bay Area. Right now we're sitting in the mid-40s for most of us, is not right around 50 degrees in San Jose and Concord. Santa Rosa low 40s, because they are not seeing nearly as much of that cloud coverage this morning, and that's allowed their overnight lows to cool down significantly. And we're only looking at a little bit of that marine layer that's holding on tight, but as you can see on our satellite, there's really not all too much of it that's actually pushing on shore. Let's take a look at the ground so you can actually get a better view of where our clouds are on our virtual reality set, because we do see a good amount of that cloud coverage right now, again, really just sitting over the South Bay communities, over the Santa Clara Valley, maybe a little bit for our inland communities, but look at the effect that it has on temperatures. It's definitely kept them a bit warmer. We're going to continue to see, though, the clouds not sticking around for much longer than the early morning hours. By this afternoon, clouds clearing, plenty of sunshine, really lovely conditions that are going to be out there. High temperatures this afternoon will be warming up to a couple of degrees above average. It's not going to be anything too crazy warm today. Don't expect the 80s to return, but mid to upper 70s. Hey, that's still pretty nice out there. Mid to upper 60s for areas around the bay and upper 50s closer to the coast, as there is going to be a little bit more of that onshore breeze that is still going to hold on tight, and that's going to keep their temperatures just a bit cooler. But I want to give you a sneak peek by tomorrow afternoon. We are going to really begin to see a heat up, especially across our more inland communities. Look at these deeper and darker oranges and reds building in. Those signify the 80s returning to the forecast, low 80s by as soon as tomorrow afternoon for our inland East Bay communities, upper 70s for areas around the bay, and mid to upper 60s closer to our coastal communities. So if you're waiting for a beach day, honestly, I'd wait till tomorrow, because today it's still going to be a little bit chilly closer to our coastal communities, as we are going to continue to see pollen being an issue, as it's the spring season, and tree pollen will be very high through the rest of the weekend and into early next week, as high pressure will continue to dominate, with little to no chances for any sort of precipitation for at least the next 7 days, potentially up to the next 14 days, as these dry and above normal temperatures are likely going to stick around. So if we take a look at the next 10 days, the biggest issue is going to be those roller coaster temperatures. No rain chances are going to be bringing us any sort of cool downs. Monday, though, is going to be even warmer than tomorrow. So that heat up will stick around into early next week before cooling down with a bit more cloud coverage into the middle to later parts of next week. But once again, if we take a look at our 7-day forecast, there is no chances for rain over at least the next 7 days. With these above average temperatures sticking around, normally this time of year, inland communities are in the upper 60s. So the fact that we'll be in the 70s, if not 80s, for at least the next 7 days means you should get out and enjoy yourself, especially this weekend. Don't forget to grab the sunglasses. Back to you.
Thank you, Zoe. Sounds like a good one. Coming up after the break, how some pro athletes are bringing Saturday night lights to encourage young soccer players in San Jose. The city of San Jose is teaming up with the Earthquakes and other community partners to launch their new Saturday Night Lights youth indoor soccer program. It's also known as futsal. 10-week pilot program offers a safe and supportive space for middle and high school kids to play soccer on Friday and Saturday nights. The program kicked off last night at Leyva Middle School, and it continues tonight at the Washington United Youth Center. Students at the event said they couldn't wait to be a part of the program. Watch.
I feel really grateful that they picked my school specifically, to start it off, and I was really excited. I ran to the office and got the paper.
The Earthquakes say after this first 10 weeks, they hope to expand the program to serve all of Santa Clara County in the future. Coming up, President Trump gives the U.S. military possession of federal land along the southern border and includes a section of California. We'll tell you his purpose behind the move. Plus, people in New York City and the Dominican Republic hold big public vigils for victims of this week's nightclub disaster in the Caribbean, where more than 200 people were killed.
From CBS News Bay Area, this is the Morning Edition.
I'm Max Darrow. This is Zoe Mintz. She's our first alert meteorologist extraordinaire. She's going to tell us all about the beautiful weather this weekend.
It's going to be so nice. Honestly, my job is super easy because there's not all too much to talk about besides get out and enjoy yourself.
That's what we need that sometimes.
Yes, we have so much crazy stuff going on just with the world right now. Let's just enjoy the calm weather that we're seeing right now with a little bit of fog building in, especially down into the Santa Clara Valley and over the Santa Cruz Mountains. This is really the only place that's seeing that foggy start to the day. Here in San Francisco, it's significantly less foggy than what we were dealing with yesterday. Maybe a little bit of some haze out there, but either way, it's not keeping our temperatures warmer like it was yesterday. We are all sitting a couple of degrees cooler than yesterday in the upper 40s to low 50s for areas around the bay, and then maybe even mid to lower 40s across our North Bay communities. Again, significantly cooler than just about 24 hours ago by over 10 degrees in our North Bay. 5 to 10 degrees elsewhere. But either way, this afternoon, we are all going to continue to warm up to temperatures that are either seasonable or slightly above average. It's not going to be anything crazy hot this afternoon. The heat really is going to build by tomorrow. So today, yes, still warm, still going to be in the 70s across our inland communities, upper 60s around the bay, and upper 50s closer to our coastal communities that are going to be dealing with a bit more of that onshore flow and those microclimates coming into full force this afternoon. But like I said, by as soon as tomorrow, everybody will be about 10 degrees warmer. And I'll let you know how long that warm weather will stick around coming up in just a bit. Back to you.
We'll be watching closely. Thank you, Zoe. President Trump has announced a new military move on the U.S. southern border as his administration confronts multiple challenges around the globe. CBS's Bradley Blackburn tracking the latest on the Trump White House.
President Trump flew south to Palm Beach late Friday as the White House announced plans in the U.S. Southwest. In an executive order, he gave the Pentagon control of federal lands on the southern border, effectively turning them into a military installation. The order says it would enable activities like barrier construction and enforcing security. It includes the Roosevelt Reservation, a narrow strip of land that passes through California, Arizona, and New Mexico. One of the Trump administration's moves on immigration was challenged at the U.S. Supreme Court this week, with the court ordering the White House to work to return a Maryland man who was mistakenly deported to a Salvadoran prison. Aboard Air Force One, the president said he would comply.
I'm not totally well versed as to the specific case, but if they said to bring him back, I would tell them to bring him back.
Meanwhile, in the global tariff battle, China's 125% tariff on U.S. goods goes into effect Saturday after President Trump raised his tariff to 145% and excluded China from a 90-day pause.
They can choose not to deal with us, or they can choose to pay it. And that's where we are.
And this weekend, the White House is starting new nuclear negotiations with Iran.
I want Iran to be a wonderful, great, happy country, but they can't have a nuclear weapon.
The talks are being held in Oman Saturday.
In New York, a vigil was held Friday night for the victims of the Dominican Republic nightclub roof collapse that killed more than 200 people earlier this week. Many of the victims' families call New York City home, where a large Dominican community lives. Mayor Eric Adams joined the mourners at a vigil offering support and announcing plans to visit the country next week. At least 222 people died after the roof collapse at the iconic Jet Set nightclub in Santo Domingo. More than 200 others were injured as well. The incident happened on Tuesday during a packed concert. The cause still under investigation, but authorities have brought in both local and international experts to examine this incident. Staying in New York City now with the latest on the deadly Hudson River helicopter crash. We're now learning the operator behind the deadly flight had a documented history of safety concerns. 6 people died in that crash, including a Siemens executive, his wife, and their 3 children, and the pilot as well. Back in 2015, one of the operator's helicopters made an emergency landing in New Jersey. FAA inspectors later found signs of corrosion and deformed parts that may have made the aircraft unfit to fly. That same helicopter involved in Thursday's crash was also involved in a hard landing in Chile in 2010. Federal investigators are still working to determine what went wrong. But on Friday, divers returned to the scene to search for missing parts of the chopper in the Hudson River. That includes the main and rear rotors, tail structure, and transmission. Law enforcement sources tell CBS News the preliminary indications point to a possible rotor failure as the cause of this crash. Investigators with the NTSB are scrambling to examine what remains of the helicopter, focusing on the structure of the aircraft and the pilot's flight record. Now to a deadly plane crash in South Florida. A small Cessna went down in Boca Raton Friday morning, killing 3 people on board. The plane had just taken off from a nearby airport and was headed to Tallahassee when it crashed near an interstate highway and then burst into flames. The impact pushed the car onto some train tracks as well. One person in that vehicle did survive. We're told they're expected to be okay. Witnesses described a fireball, palm trees igniting, and panic on a nearby overpass. Investigators from the FAA and the NTSB now on scene to figure out what went wrong. Coming up after the break, Caltrain reports a big boost in ridership since its trains became fully electric just a few months ago. We'll have a live conversation with a Caltrain spokesperson about what these numbers are showing. Caltrain is seeing a surge in ridership ever since it switched to fully electric trains last fall. Total ridership in March was 831,000. That was the most the transit agency had seen since before the pandemic. Joining us now is Dan Lieberman, Caltrain's spokesperson. Dan, good morning. Thanks for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Max.
So Dan, let's take a closer look at some of these numbers from Caltrain's recent executive summary. What are some of the key statistics that you think people should be aware of as we, are about halfway through April?
Well, long story short, everyone wants to get on Caltrain these days. It's since the launch of electrified service 6 months ago, we have seen a 56% increase in ridership across the board. Our weekend numbers are currently doing better than they were doing pre-pandemic. I guess it goes to show that people really enjoy faster and more frequent service on a beautiful modern new train.
So when you're talking with the riders, what do they say about that switch to electrification? Why has it made Caltrain more appealing? Because it obviously looks like it has.
Absolutely. Well, it's really an across the board improvement. We have doubled our frequency on weekends, so we now have half-hourly trains coming in all weekend long, which is a huge improvement. Weekend ridership is where we've seen the biggest amount of growth. We're actually currently above pre-pandemic levels. We are, people are getting out and about in the Bay Area, and now that spring has sprung and it's beautiful outside, our Giants are playing again. We think we're seeing a lot more excitement, and we expect to see that continue to grow on board.
So Dan, public transit across the board has struggled to rebound from the pandemic. Caltrain really did take a while to get those numbers to inch up. But this really does seem like kind of a dramatic increase in a short period of time. What do you think it is that really did bring this back? Was it just the electrification and the improved service, the more frequent service, or were there other factors at play as well? Because it really was dramatic.
Yeah, well, the service is obviously a huge one. Ultimately, when people get on public transit, they want to be able to get where they're going on time and reliably. But at the same time, we also have a beautiful modern new train, free Wi-Fi on board for everyone who joins us, and not to mention just the onboard experience is greatly improved. It's quite a bit quieter. It's clean and green. We're running zero emissions trains for the first time in the 161-year history of this corridor. And well, really, I think the best thing to do for folks is come on out, get on the train, and see what everyone's been talking about.
Do you think this is going to be able to sustain itself moving forward? This pattern may turn into a trend with ridership?
I think that's a very good possibility. Normally, our ridership really starts to take a big uptick in April, again, once we're in summer, the Giants are playing. This year, that actually happened in February. So things have been picking up quite a bit earlier. And right now, we've got the Giants, the Warriors, Bay FC, and the Earthquakes all playing. We've got the Valkyries coming to Chase Center in the coming months. We've also got Kylie Minogue in town this month, and we're not that far from Beta Breakers. So there's a lot of big reasons to get on Caltrain, and well, we hope to see everybody on board.
Dan, I know it was about a year ago you and I were talking about the electrification service, and how the Bay Area really was, in theory, one of the first places to take the next big leap in terms of railway transit. Just from your perspective, how is that going so far, aside from ridership, just the entire electrification process? And is this something that you think other agencies throughout the country can learn from?
We would hope so, and we're trying to make that information as available as possible, so other agencies that do want to follow us down this road can do so, and learn from our mistakes and do as well as they can. It's really been very exciting. It's across the rail industry, there's a huge degree of excitement, maybe even a little bit of jealousy over this brand new rail line we've got and these beautiful new trains that you're showing off just behind me. So it's I think I would like to think that we're at the forefront of this. We are this is the first generation. This is the first project like this in a generation. And well, we hope to see a lot more coming up behind us.
And finally, Dan, this morning, just one more in terms of the ridership numbers. Why is it important that Caltrain sees this continue to grow?
Well, ultimately we do get a fair bit of revenue from our ticket sales, but I think the big thing is, electrification has been a major investment that we've been working at for decades. Now that it's finally come to fruition, it's really beautiful to see people coming out and meet us where we are and be excited by the service we're offering. So this is just, more proof that, this was a good project, a worthwhile project, and we're going to be enjoying the benefits of it for decades to come.
Dan Lieberman, Caltrain spokesperson, live for us this morning. Thank you for your time. We appreciate it. We'll be watching those numbers closely in the months to come. We appreciate it.
Glad to hear it.
All righty, let's switch gears now. It's going to be another beautiful day here in the Bay Area. Maybe a good day to hop on Caltrain, come up to the city. Zoe Mintz joins us now. And Zoe, a little bit of fog to contend with this morning.
A little bit, but not
nice day, though.
Overall, beautiful day. I will say, talking about all the people in the Giants riding the train, it was so funny. I've been to 2 Giants games so far.
Okay, very good.
So excited that Giants season has started, but the trains were completely packed with Giants fans.
Really? Okay.
Yes, there were so many Giants fans.
The proof is in the pudding there.
Trains, yes. I love to see it. I love to see people taking public transportations. Sometimes I take those scooters, although I know some people are a little nervous about that. wear a helmet if you do. But either way, we're looking at a foggy start to our morning. I would suggest opening up your windows, letting the first light of this Saturday in. The sun has officially risen and temperatures will continue to warm up. Although it's a chilly start to our morning, make sure you bundle up. It's definitely chillier than yesterday at this time and a degree or two below average for this time of year as well, sitting in the, again, mid to upper 40s, kind of just depending on where you are. Santa Rosa, one of those cooler spots in the North Bay, but that's normal for this time of year, as we are seeing high pressure that's going to continue to dominate, bringing us little to no chances for any sort of rain for at least the next week or so. That, of course, includes today, where we are going to continue to see very dry and very quiet conditions. Very calm winds as well. They will be coming in from that onshore direction, though, which is the reason that we're dealing with a little bit more of that fog and those hazier conditions this morning, especially across more of our South Bay communities that are seeing a bit more of that thicker fog, especially over places like the Santa Cruz Mountains. Temperatures right now, like I showed you, though, are a bit cooler than yesterday because our North Bay communities especially not dealing with nearly as much of that cloud coverage. The clouds into this afternoon, though, will quickly clear and everybody will see sunny skies by later today. Temperatures, though, are going to be a degree or two above average. Nothing too impressive today. They'll still be in the mid-70s across our inland communities, upper 60s around the bay, and upper 50s closer to our coastal communities that, again, are going to be dealing with that onshore flow and slightly cooler conditions. But I want everybody to look forward to tomorrow. If you've been waiting for more of those 80s, I promise you, just wait one more day, because look at these deeper and darker reds that are going to be building in across the Bay Area, especially our more inland communities, letting our high temperatures get into the low 80s by tomorrow afternoon, from Livermore all the way up to Antioch and maybe even Vallejo, dealing with those 80s. Upper 70s around the Bay, low 70s even here in San Francisco, and mid 60s along the coast. So if you've been waiting for a beautiful beach day, tomorrow likely going to be the better day to do so compared to today, because again, today we are dealing with just a little bit more of that onshore flow and a bit more of those foggier conditions. Winds will switch up by tomorrow, though. However, even with these windier conditions and slightly cooler conditions, if you do plan on heading out today, no matter where you're going, don't forget to put on sunscreen. It's the time of year that our UV index is getting higher, and it only takes about 30 minutes of time outdoors to get burned. So keep that in mind, and also keep in mind that you're going to want to keep that allergy medication handy. If you've noticed that your nose has been a little bit extra itchy or runny, it's because our tree pollen is very high. It's going to stay that way all weekend long and into early next week, as again, little to no chances for rain are upon us, as these above average temperatures will continue as well. So dry and above average again for at least the next 7 days, with well above average temperatures returning by tomorrow and into Monday. A cool down along with some more clouds arriving by Tuesday and throughout the rest of the upcoming week ahead of us. But again, overall, it's going to stay dry. It is going to stay warm and little to no chances for rain. So I would highly suggest you put away that umbrella. You're not going to need it anytime soon, because these sunny skies are going to stick around. Back to you.
All righty. Thank you, Zoe. Coming up after the break, it doesn't catch the eye of tourists, but it does protect a crucial part of downtown San Francisco. We'll tell you about the plan to give a seawall some much-needed repairs. In this morning's Project Earth report, San Francisco's famed waterfront is facing some real threats, from sea level rise to extreme weather to earthquakes. The seawall, built more than a century ago, runs from Fisherman's Wharf to the Giants ballpark. It's supposed to protect downtown, but inspections show that it does need repairs. So Ann Makovic explains. There's now talk of literally bringing the aging seawall to life.
The San Francisco Embarcadero is full of eye-catching destinations, from the ferry building to Fisherman's Wharf. But these days, down by the water, what's grabbing a lot of attention is what you don't see.
I got out of the water after my first dive, and I felt like saying, hey, you people walking around on the sidewalk, do you know what's going on down there?
Along the aging seawall at 3 different locations, scientists have placed some very unusual tiles. A few times a year at low tide, the team climbs over the wall to inspect them. Some are brought back to street level for a closer look.
What you're seeing is some amazingly luxurious growth of native seaweeds.
The once empty tiles are now covered in marine life.
This is our native Olympia oyster, doing quite well. Here's a sea spider, a pycnogonid animal here with the spots. is a sea slug.
What makes these tiles so different, while some are smooth, others are constructed with bumps and grooves.
It has portions that stick out, it has indentations.
The cutting-edge experiment is known as the Living Seawall Project, launched in 2022 by the Smithsonian Environmental Research Center with the Port of San Francisco.
See how lacy that is?
The goal is to see whether the textured tiles can better replicate a natural habitat for native species.
Traditionally, when we think of seawalls, they're these flat, smooth, vertical surfaces. And there's been this new wave of thinking on how we can retrofit them or enhance them to benefit biodiversity.
At the Smithsonian's lab in Tiburon, Dr. Chayla Zabin and grad student Corinne Knapp take an even deeper dive. Zabin peers through a microscope to get a much closer look at what's living on the tiles.
We can see a lot of things that are very tiny that we wouldn't see in the field, even under the best of conditions.
Knapp is running tests on how the new communities function.
We want to figure out, not just who is there, but what they're doing.
If the textured tiles prove beneficial, they could be built into a new, more resilient seawall that's already in the works.
So we want to do something that tips the balance in favor of native species.
Protecting life above and beneath the waves.
Good morning. Happy Saturday. It's going to be a beautiful weekend all across the Bay Area. I hope you can get out and enjoy yourself. Temperatures jumping by about 10 degrees by tomorrow afternoon. So if you really want to enjoy the heat, feeling a bit more like summertime by tomorrow and sticking around into Monday of next week, a bit more cloud coverage and a slight cool down will arrive by Tuesday and Wednesday, but it's going to be slight. The reason that it will be cooler is really just because of the cloud coverage. There is little to no chances for any sort of rain. And inland areas in the low 70s all week, that's above average. And even our coastal communities are likely going to stay above average over at least the next 7 days. So overall, it is going to be absolutely gorgeous out there. I hope you can enjoy this warmer weather while it lasts, because at least for the next week or so, Max, it is going to be sticking around. It's going to be absolutely gorgeous out there. So no matter what you're doing, I would suggest doing it outside because it is going to be nice out there.
We like a forecast like that. And hey, if you want to do something outside this weekend, let's take you to San Francisco for a second, because the sure sign of spring is getting going in the city today.
Yes, the Cherry Blossom Festival, which I am so excited about. It's starting in a few hours in Japantown. The festival coincides with the blooming of cherry trees in Japan, and it's a celebration of spring in Japanese culture. Celebrating arts and crafts, it has music and live performances.
So if this is something you do want to check out, which I highly recommend, having gone myself many times, you should, happens along Post Street between Laguna and Fillmore, and on Webster Street between Geary and Sutter. Food booths will offer sushi, tempura, and so much more. Now, the 57th Annual Cherry Blossom Festival stretches over the course of 2 weekends, and it wraps up with a big grand parade next Sunday. It's just a wonderful, wonderful time to maybe try some new food or find some of your favorites and just kind of, experience a part of the city that maybe you haven't spent a lot of time in.
Exactly.
It's a wonderful place.
I've heard that a lot of the places that sell food aren't just restaurants. It's like church groups and it's local schools. A lot of times when you're buying the food, it's not just to support the local restaurants, it's also to support the local community as well. So another reason to get out. I am so excited to see some cherry blossoms, some flowers. Spring has officially sprung, even though it's honestly going to feel a bit more like summer by tomorrow.
Honestly, that's okay. We could take a little bit of a warm up, but this is one of the gems, San Francisco, one of the many reasons that we just love being here in the Bay Area. We've got things like this just right here in our backyard.
I love it. I'm so excited to check it out this weekend and next weekend. I definitely have to see the parade next weekend.
The parade is fantastic. Alrighty, Zoe, thank you for that. And thank you for watching KPIX this morning. Don't forget, the news continues all day on CBS News Bay Area. We'll be back here tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock. Have a great Saturday.